I hope listen, I hope that music was just lovely. You know what I mean? Jesse?
I love it.
I hope that we got.
Did
I hope
you see
people
me over here
enjoying
bobbing?
themselves. Yeah, man. We had to get everybody pumped up today. Hey, everybody. It's 12 noon. It's high noon in beautiful Washington County. I mean, it will be a beautiful 107 today. Lovely as always. Look, it's not 113. So what am I going to say, right? This is a good thing, right? Hey, welcome. Jeremy Larkin here, CEO of the Larkin Group Home Selling Team, KW Realty here in St. George. I've got my right-hand man, Jesse Paul. It's P-O-L-L. Do people get your name wrong?
All the time.
Yeah, they do. Because they see P-O-L-L and they think Pole, but it's Paul. P-O-L-L. Jesse's on with us. Hey, guys, we've got a whiz-bang show for you today. And if you're watching this on a replay sometime in the future, share it with your friends, put it on Facebook, whatever you want to do. If you hated it, don't share it. Now, if you hated it, tell us about it, right? But happy to have you all in here. So grateful to have your support and have you come in and watch and listen to what we have to say about the St. George real estate market. We live in the greatest city and the greatest country in the world, if you ask me. Now, there's a lot of great cities out there. I'm going to say that, right? I think there's a lot of cool places to live. There's a lot of cool places to do business. But I've been in St. George my whole entire life, and it's been pretty fun. So my father was born and raised here. My mother was born and raised here in Washington County. She was born and raised in Enterprise, and then when she was 18, she came down to Dixie State University. At that time, Dixie State College. Now, Jesse,
that is
to be a St. George local, you have to say college.
College?
Yeah, college. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and college.
And Hurricane.
And Hurricane.
That's right.
H-E-R-K-I-N.
Hurricane.
So we are local. And if you're watching this, hey, there you go. All right, so let's talk about this. We're live on Facebook right now. I hope this is being, broadcast all over the planet. I'm going to share my screen momentarily. We're going to talk about what's going on out there in the real estate market. I'm going to talk about home prices, the insanity of home prices in some other markets. I'll set this up with last weekend, I was riding my bike in Park City, and I did this little loop, and I came down out of the mountain, and I ended up on Main Street, just above Main Street in Park City. It's a quaint little area. There's some larger homes, but a lot of these are like 2,000 feet. It's really fun. I don't even know what the style would be called. I get Jessica Marone, if you're on, I bet you can tell us what the style. I don't know what the style is. Well, interestingly, the homes
ranch,
in Park,
bungalow,
maybe
either
bungalows,
one.
Not ranches. So interestingly, in Park City, you always have the price on the listing or on the flyer or on the sign. We don't do that a lot down here. See, we want people to call us, that kind of thing. Well, I pull up to these houses and it says 3.9 million, 4.6 million, $6.6 million, right? Austin Powers reference. That's mind blowing. So as we say, it could be worse.
Okay, so Jessica Marone said it's
mission
style.
Mission style? Some of them, a lot of them are mission style. They are. It's almost like 1800s mining town style, a lot of them, like truly, right? So kind of bizarre, right? You're talking about, could you imagine $6.6 million for like a 3,000 square foot home in downtown Park City? It's insanity.
It's almost like you're in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So gang, if you've got questions today for us, we encourage you to ask a question. We've got a Q&A section in there. You can chat. We have some polls we're going to share with you today. It's going to be fun. We're going to ask you some questions. All right. Should we fire this thing up? Jesse, you just kind of went into space. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to get going with this webinar. Here we go. Lost your face, buddy. All right, guys. Let's talk about it. We have special guest Steve Dunham, Washington County School District, come on about 12:40, and we're going to talk about, 12:40 if you're watching this live. We just experienced the longest spring break ever. I mean, this is a wild time. And I have two kids in school, 13 and 15 now. Well, they were 13 and 15 then. They went on spring break in March, and then they never came off of spring. They just stayed on spring break. And one of the things we'll ask Steve about later, and we want to talk about what happened to the real estate market nationally and locally during this time period.
Mm-hmm.
But gang, you have to realize that this is a weird, wild, wacky, as they used to say, world. If I had told you 6 months ago, hey, just so you know, because 6 months ago is February, right? February 21st. Remember, some of us were in Dallas, Texas together. Some of you watching this were with me in Dallas. It was a fun trip at a conference. We all had COVID, I'm sure, at that time. Everyone was sick at the conference. If I had said, hey guys, in about 2 weeks when we get home, I just want you to know there's going to be a virus that's going to hit, and it's going to shut down the entire world. They're going to shut down schools. You can't go to church anymore. You're going to need to have 3 to 5 masks laying around in your car, which is what I have. They're everywhere. They're in my bags. And I'm like, hey, you know, look, do you get my point? They're everywhere. Mm-hmm. You're going to look like a friggin' ninja or a nurse or a bank robber, okay? Like somewhere in those, somewhere in there, those 3 realms. And, you know, it should be interesting. And then we'll see what happens. And then there's going to be a massive political uproar behind that. But wait, there's more, right? If you stay tuned about 60 more days, there will be a whole racial tension thing that happens that explodes into the biggest political mess ever during an election year. What would you have said, right?
You know, I remember the day that I was walking into the bank and there's a big sign on the door saying, do not enter unless you have a mask on. And I thought, did I ever think that they would want me in the bank with a mask on?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so I'm in Cedar City last night riding bikes with the kids. We go over to the Chevron after we ride because you always need sugar and sugar-free power, sugar treats, but sugar-free Powerade. A guy walks in, he's in lowrider pants, and then he's in one of those like, almost like Mexican front range, like Jessica, you're gonna know again, like a big a pullover like the cowboys would wear back in the day, like a big wool thing. Why he's in this thing draped over him, he's got a regular bandana, so it's clear down his face, and a hat low. I kid you not. I walked to the doors and I stood back to watch because I said, I feel like this guy's gonna rob the store. It literally looked like he was gonna rob the store. He did. Crazy. So this is the context of what we're talking about today. Everything is within the context of COVID-19 and this massive thing that happened with George Floyd, which, you know, I wanted to say Rodney King, good grief. Remember those 90s?
I do.
So, but it's not even, it's more than about that, right? It's the whole thing's complicated. So let's talk about what happened, all right? We're pulling a bunch of data from our friends at Keeping Current Matters. If you're a realtor, I hope there's realtors watching today, because for crying out loud, you're gonna actually see how we use Keeping Current Matters to share this data with our clients out there in the public. Let's go through this. And the first question, I think, Jesse, honestly,
yep.
I think we're going to launch a poll question right now. Okay.
Okay.
Did you fear a 2007-like crash was coming in March? Okay. This was, by the way, I'm a yes. I'm a yes.
I just tried to click yes, but it wouldn't let me.
Oh, you know why?
I was.
Yeah, because you're a panelist. Okay.
You know that why isn't it working?
I absolutely do. So you're a panelist, okay?
Right.
That's the deal. So did you fear that a 2007-like crash was coming when this thing went down? Okay, and I tell you, Jesse and I both were a yes. Mm-hmm. We're gonna wait about 15 more seconds to, you know, find out what people think, because I think that everybody at the time, you know, who didn't fear it? I guess I'm just going to be shocked if anyone says, no, I just thought everything was fine. No big deal. All right, let's end the polling. So let me tell you what we had here. Polling's closed. 67% said yes. Okay, 67% said yes. 33% said no. Jesse, what do you think about this?
I'm a yes.
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
Yeah. So you felt that a 2007-like crash was coming, right?
I did.
Do you remember 2007?
I do.
Yeah, I do too. It was ugly, right? It was ugly.
I do. I was actually in Las Vegas at the time, which was hit Pretty bad.
Yeah, it was hit really bad. Okay. So look what happened. In the United States, total spending by all consumers is compared to the 1st of January this year. Well, this is interesting, but not. Why don't you look at arts and entertainment? Look where arts and entertainment are. Do you think our spending went down in arts and entertainment, that orange line? Well, yeah, you can only barely start going back to Megaplex theaters 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago, and even then they want to sit you 6 seats apart.
The only places we were allowed to go is the grocery store, Home Depot, and a protest.
We talked about this. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you for the protest. Absolutely.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, it's 100% accurate. Groceries through the roof. Apparel in general, down, but coming back, but spiking back up like crazy. Healthcare, is that ironic?
Wow.
Healthcare down, spiking back up. Restaurants down, spiking back up. Arts and entertainment, transportation. Okay.
Too bad toilet paper's not on there individually, because it would have been the only one that skyrocketed.
Yes,
in
correct.
groceries.
We asked this question. Yeah, that's a very. Remember when you couldn't get toilet paper?
Yeah.
We asked the poll question when COVID-19 broke. Did you fear the economy would take a 2007-like turn? 67% said yes. So here's what happened. All these theys: Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, the brains of the finance world. Here's what they said. They forecast that we'd be down 30% average, okay, our economy, all right? So, and it was down big time. So here's what they forecast for the 3rd quarter. That was in April. Every one of them said 20%, 25%, 18%. All of these groups say, we could have, drum roll please, wait for it. Indeed, the worst ever GDP reading could be followed by the best ever growth in the 3rd quarter, ever, right? And in a minute, we're going to show you what happened to real estate, okay?
That would only make sense, because if you're in the worst ever, any growth is going to be the best ever, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So Jesse, read this to us. This is a fantastic quote. What happened here, right? Are you on it, or am I on it?
I am.
Okay, go for it.
Despite the crippling and ongoing coronavirus pandemic, millions of the out of work in recessions and nationally reckoning. You ever have one of those tongue-tied moments?
Slow down.
Highly contagious presidential elections ever, followed by the residential real estate market staging an astonishing rebound.
You know what I love?
And they actually called this back in March and April. Keeping Current Matters said we were going to have a V recovery. It was going to be a big drop followed by an aggressive rebound. And that's exactly what we've seen here. With the pandemic, with the political situation going on, real estate all over the country has actually rebounded.
Yep. So, and here's what I love. You said highly contagious presidential election.
It is.
No, it's contentious. You said contagious. You
It is,
didn't
that
realize
too.
you have no idea how freaking funny you were without even knowing you were funny just now.
But it's true. I mean, it is contagious. Have you ever been sucked in? Yeah, you have. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
Although it was a mistake, it's real.
okay, so listen, out there in the public, people that are out there watching right now, will you comment? Let us know if you can see our visuals just fine. I hope so. I think you should be able to. Let us know. It looks like you can here on Facebook. So it's not just contentious. So here's what we're staging. We're going to have the greatest real estate rebound ever. So here's what happens. What we do is we look at how many people are out looking at homes. What a showing, right? If you're a buyer and you want to go look at a home, you hire your real estate agent and you say, hey, Jesse, Jessica, Kayla, some of these people are watching today. I want you to go show me some homes. And you go and you have a showing. All right. So here's what happened to the showings in North America. Well, shocker, in the last week of March and into April, showings went through the floor. Yep. People stopped showing homes. Remember when we thought that we'd get coronavirus if we even touched the surface it had been on? Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. So look at this thing roaring back. Weekly showings normalized the first calendar week to looking like January 7th. Okay, they're past that. Here's what's going on in the state of Utah. This orange line right here, this is fascinating. We're going to share with you momentarily that the real estate market's on fire, and yet 2019, the blue, we were having more showings then than we are now. What do you think that's about, Jesse? Anybody out there, what do you think?
Do you want me to answer, or anybody out there?
No,
I think it's about first of all, there's less listings. Second of all, there's so many people now. Most of your listings have a video tour. The agent will go and show the home virtually. So there's a lot more virtual showings that probably aren't in this, because people already have the video available on the listing. Because even though the showings are down, the home sales are not.
Yes, correct. Okay, that's absolutely right. So home sales are up, but showings are down. Well, a couple things are happening. Number one, he just said a lot of people are doing virtual showings. Number two, there's not enough homes for sale, and we're going to talk about that, which seems impossible.
So even though they're showings, they're the videos, made once and it's sent to everybody, so it's not really counted if their showing time as a showing.
Whether in terms of pending contract activity or our proprietary buyer demand ratings, I love that he said proprietary, like he tried to brand this guy from Zellman's. We have a proprietary rating. The point is, no matter how you measure it, demand captured in this month's survey can only be described as shockingly strong in spite of the resurgence in COVID-19 cases. The pandemic has not stopped consistent price growth, the consistent price growth we've seen in the last few years. So what's going on with home prices? Here's a poll question. Man, the problem is this is a stacked group, okay? So home prices, we're gonna launch a poll question. Are home prices up or down since the Corona crap hit, okay? Are home prices up or down since the Corona crap hit? God, isn't that a great question? Isn't that a well-worded question? Most of you already know the answer because
it fits right in the line with me and contagious.
Yeah, contagious and contentious. Slow down. They got to slow down, man. You're a bull in a china shop.
I was born that way, brother.
I know you were, man. All right, we already know the answer. Let's end the polling. 100% said home values are up. I'm just going to stop it right there. Brace yourselves for this right here. Existing home prices by region. We're going to get to the meat here momentarily. Home prices by region. The U.S. they're up 3.5% year over year. They're up 4% in the Northeast. I don't know, Maine, Vermont. 3.2%. They're up in the Midwest. In the South, they're up 4.1%, and they're up 5.5% in the West. But wait for this crap. Speaking of Corona crap, the average home in Washington County value has gone up by $38,592 in the last year.
Wow.
An 11% increase. Jesse, walk us through that data right there on the screen so people understand what they're looking at.
So, and this goes back to what we were saying earlier, that actually home sales are up. So in 2000, number of homes listed, and this is where it gets, this is why 11% increase. 2019, there was 5,000 homes that were listed. 2020, 4,982. But homes that were under contract is 3,800 last year, 4,300 this year. We're up 14% in homes under contract, but we're 3% down as far as homes listed. Homes sold were up 6%. So why is that so weird? I believe, and the data will show, that we're up 14% in under contracts because home sellers with existing homes aren't listing their homes. So buyers that are coming in the market are actually going to new construction. They take longer to close. So that's why that's up so far, 14% versus the sold is 6%, because they're waiting to close.
Correct. You know, let me come, you nailed it. Okay. You absolutely nailed it. New construction is wild.
Oh, most of them are a year out. We're not taking reservations anymore.
Jessica and Kayla are on this call today, and we're going to talk about Sunwood Homes a little bit. Jessica's been running our Brookwood project, and Kayla our Desert Flower project. They can attest, they don't have to comment, but people come into homes, in our model homes, and they go, do you have any homes that are built right now?
Nope.
No, we got to build you one. People are looking for something like right now.
They are.
Right now, right? And we haven't got it in a lot of cases, right? The average price of a home in Washington County, again, is up 11%. Let's go back. The Western United States, 5.5%, the US, 3.5%. We're crushing the national average, which is good and bad. Okay, it's good and it's bad. We understand why it's bad because of affordability, right? We've already in the 2020 sold more real estate in volume, $300 million more. The average sales price is up 40 grand, okay? We have more homes under contract. Sales contracts means more people have put a contract on a home, 14% more. This is a wow. Okay, long range projections of future home prices. Well, this is what they say, the pundits. They say, okay, that they think, you know, well, home prices will go up a little bit over the next year, okay? Right now, they're going up. Carl Wright, R1 Appraisals, thank you, Carl, for the data he shared with us. He said home prices have been going up an average of 0.91% a month, almost 1% a month in Washington County.
Yeah,
okay?
appraisers are getting nervous because they just cannot keep up with not only the amount of contracts, but with the intensity of the market going up.
Correct. Yeah, well, I love this. I love that word, intensity and velocity. Like, we like velocity, that's my term. Velocity really is just, it's like the speed, right, at which we're selling homes. I mean, it's truly astonishing what's going on right now. Look at this. So why are home prices going up, guys? Here's the problem right here, okay? New listings are green, but here's the issue with total listings. We don't have enough housing for sale, okay? If you look at this orange down here, even though more people are putting their home in the market, since COVID, just not enough people have put their home in the market. They're not putting their home in the market because they think it's maybe too expensive to buy another one. Maybe they don't think it's safe to have their home in the market, COVID-19. Maybe they think, well, because everything that's going on, it's an election year, there's racial stuff going on in the politics, there's a pandemic, I just don't want to leave. And so Jesse, I think that's the biggest one. I've been thinking
that's
about
really
that
interesting because if you look back early March, we were on pace to be 5% over, and then it just plummeted and hasn't really recovered enough to make a difference.
Correct. Look at this right here, gang. So this is a lot of information. Don't panic about how much it is. Here's the part I want you to see. All real estate is local. So when they talk about this is national, this is local. Last month, there were 861 properties for sale. A year ago at the same time, there were 1,222. That's a 30% drop, okay? Now, the data that I'm about to share with you, I could only pull it for last month so you could see this whole screen. So if you look at sold listings, we had sold 596 in July versus 464 in July of 2019. We had 588 homes under contract versus 449 in July 2019. Here's the challenge. This is why prices are going up. Only 861 properties compared to the year prior to 1222, but that was last month. Today, there are only 614 homes for sale. 50% is
27% drop just in the last 30 days.
If this keeps up, guys, home values could go up another 20% a year. Like, really, that could happen, which is a little bit frightening. Now, I don't think it's going to keep up. First step that I'd say here, if you're thinking about selling a home, this would be that time. And sellers are really benefiting. Momentarily, we'll talk about buyers. Seller traffic. This is the whole issue again. Seller traffic means how many people are putting their home on the market, period. Well, there's very weak Minnesota, Wisconsin, right? Missouri, which I never figured out why it was MO anyway. Maine. But look at the rest of the whole freaking country is weak. It means very few people are putting their home on the market. And that's a problem, right? Because it's going to cause prices to go up. Now, I was going to share something today, but I won't. I was going to put it into a PDF for you. I didn't have time. I think yesterday alone, I had 4 different emails from the local board of real estate agents. Help, I have a buyer coming to town looking for X, they can't find it. Help, I have a buyer coming to town looking for Y, they can't find it. Please help me, I have a buyer coming to town. What'd you say? Oh, Michigan. Nice, Jessica, I love that. You're actually right. You actually are right. Thank you. Minnesota is up there next to North Dakota. She corrected me. What a jerk. What? Oh, yeah? Well, what does MS stand for? No, that's not multiple sclerosis, Jessica. It's Mississippi. Okay, back to the point here. Okay. We got a problem, guys. All these agents, help, I have a buyer coming to town. I don't even have a house I can sell them. I've looked at everything in the MLS. What do you have?
So we were looking last week, I think it was, I pulled a report that for Washington County, all homes under 500,000 with a pool, there was 6 on the market.
6 homes under 500 grand with a pool. If you have a home with a pool, you should probably be calling us. So here's the dealio. Why do people move? Okay. Well, let's ask you a question. Let's ask a question. Okay. All right. Why would you move? All right. Launch the polling. Which one factor would cause you to move? More interior space, a desire to own, if you're renting, because prices are up. Okay. So if anyone's out there, run this poll question and you want to answer this, more interior space, because prices are up, you have a desire to own, maybe you're renting, or maybe you want a bigger yard. And we're going to talk about this momentarily, like, because they actually ask people why they're moving. Okay, right now, 50% of my respondents said, I want more interior space. I think everybody does. You know, I mean, wouldn't that be most typically why people move? Okay, unless they're downsizing. I didn't even give that option. This is just for fun. We're just having some fun.
Too much space, huh? Too
much space. Okay, I could have put that in there. All right, let's end the polling. Okay, fascinatingly, okay, 75% said more interior space. 25% said a desire to own because I'm renting. Okay. April survey, what people said they wanted in their next home. In April, they said they wanted more interior space, more outdoor space, an updated kitchen, and better technology. Well, look what happened from April to July. Could you imagine that the tastes of the country would change? Top 4 reasons people are moving. More interior space, same. More outdoor space, same. Desire to own is new, and to move away from the city and the power of the pause, Jesse, to the suburbs. The suburbs is St. George. The suburbs is not New York City. It's somewhere outside of that disaster zone.
What's interesting is it didn't used to be. So when it used to be, if we were going to move to the suburbs, they would go, you know, maybe 30 miles from New York City or just outside LA, or, you know, for Las Vegas to Green Valley, or, and now they're coming clear to St. George.
Yep, they're coming from all over the place. People plan to buy a home due to remote workability. Look at that.
63%.
63% said, well, I know that you guys thought you could show me that you could lock me in my house in New York City or Portland or Seattle or San Francisco. I'm listing the worst cities. And you know the sad part? They're formerly some of the best, coolest, neatest, novel cities in the country. Right. You guys actually showed me by accident that I don't even need to live here anymore, so I'm out. And that's what is happening. Isn't that a bizarre little thought, everybody? 63% of the people surveyed that said they were planning to move. Are you planning to buy a home due to remote workability? Yeah, I'm out of here, man. I'll move to St. George and ride my bike every morning and rock climb and go to Zion National Park. And I'd say no smog, but it's awfully smoky today. As cities, states, countries around the country slowly reopen, we predict the great American move. Guys, the last time we saw this was the 1950s when the suburbs became a thing.
You know, what's interesting, and you know, I always say this, Jeremy, out of every tragedy or out of every difficult thing in the country, in the life, something great will come out of this. And this is one of those. Companies have realized that workers can be more productive at home than they will at work.
Correct. You know, I like it. We've done a lot of it with our office. I mean, I like being in my office. It's sweet, but I also like being in my house. For safety reasons, financial prospects, life change improvements, riots, idiots, other things. Personal comfort and employment, we expect a surge in household and business relocations over the next few months. It will provide new strategic opportunities for the real estate market. All right, by the way, plug. We don't have them linked here right now. Our fall 2020 buyer and seller guides will be coming out September 4th, and we'll send them to our entire database because we like you. Why else?
One, just put a comment in the chat box, and we will get them to you.
Yeah. So months of inventory for sale. 2011 to today. So this is the same problem. It's not a problem, but look, in 2011, look how much inventory was for sale. This is how much inventory is now for sale. So that's what's causing prices to go up. What about buyers?
So this is interesting though, because this number pre-COVID, as of like February, the end of February, was about 3.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, we have about less than 1.5 months of inventory.
Yep, absolutely. It's absolutely right. So, hey, and real estate agents out there watching, because one of the things that I see is we actually have a bunch of viewers right now in Facebook. And hello, and feel free to comment on any of our posts, please, and we'll try and answer your questions. If you're a real estate agent, we're using today a bunch of slides from Keeping Current Matters as well as multiple listing service data. Keeping Current Matters is bizarre because it costs $25 whole a month for us to have this. Ooh, I can see Steve's coming. We're going to have him on live momentarily.
Nice.
So let's wrap this up. Steve, your timing is brilliant, okay? Because we're moving quick, brother. We're going to have Steve Dunham on. Steve's the PR guy for the county, which means he's their Washington County School District, so he gets his butt kicked a lot, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment right now.
Oh my gosh.
I apologize for joining early. I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, I know we're early, so this is really great. So Steve, this is kind of fun. We're going to share something with you, okay? Because this is about Washington County School District. So I'm going to go back. This is really great. Steve's going to talk to us about how things are going to school with this district and kids are going back to school, and I'm going to talk about my kids at school. So in April, Steve, they surveyed Realtor.com. Realtor.com typically, just so people know, they try to get 10,000 responses. I know this about how they work. So they're going to go out to about 110,000 people to get 10,000 responses. That's their deal. People in April said, well, why would you buy a new home? More interior space, square footage, more yard, updated kitchen, better technology. Well, look at number 2 and 3 after COVID. Desire to own, number 3, move from the city to the suburbs. 63% of these dang respondents said, I plan to buy a home because I can now work remotely.
Wow.
And so that's going to affect the school system.
Big number.
Because people are coming here, right?
It already is affecting us, yes.
Yeah. And are you seeing that? So what are you seeing on the school side?
Oh, we are seeing a lot of people that have moved from California, Nevada, Oregon, and up north, northern Utah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? Well, because, you know, and of course they come from Nevada, they come from these large cities, but even northern Utah. Right now, how many students are enrolled in Washington County School District?
Well, it's all still projections because, you know, after this, we're finishing our first full week, and so we don't have firm numbers. Mm-hmm. In another week, we'll have what we call our 10-day total, but we're projecting more than 35,000 children.
Wow. What about last year? How many would there have been?
Just about... not quite 34,000. So we've increased more than 1,000 based upon projections. Those real numbers will be in here in a couple weeks.
So do you have, this is fun. Do you have a metric? Well, Craig Hammer, I think, told me this once and I don't remember now. That says for every number of students we add, we got to add a school, because 1,000 students is a school.
1,000 students is a full high school essentially, because right. As you look at elementaries are built to hold about 650 children. That's a little high actually. You prefer it right around 600 is optimal, but we can go as high as 750. An intermediate school right around 900 to 1,000. A middle school again 900 to 1,000. You can go a little bit higher, and a high school right around 1,200.
See, Jesse, can you believe that I actually know some of this stuff? Come on, man.
I can.
Well, I've been here a long time. So I'm just going to say 1,000 kids is a school, man. Plain and simple, right? I mean, 1,000 kids join the district and you're like, okay, new school somewhere. I mean, obviously it's not an exact relationship, but, well, okay. So we're going to wrap up a couple of thoughts here on this real estate side, which is interest rates. And this is affecting people as we talk about the school district and move-ins. This is probably mostly why our market's going so crazy. Yeah. So the average 30-year fixed interest rate right now to buy a home or refinance is 2.88%. this goes back to when I said, what if I told you 6 months ago they were going to close the schools and then they'd come back with masks on? You would have never believed it. And now you can borrow money to buy a house at 2.88%. I mean, if you had $500,000 cash, you would be not actually logical to put it all into a house unless you really wanted to shelter it in a house, right? So Jesse's right. This is driving the real estate market, and this isn't local. This is just the entire United States of America.
That's national. Yeah.
Now here's the fascinating part. On 1/4 of the previous year. So if you look at this chart, okay, excuse me, 2 years back. So we have the first of 2020. We have the first of 2019, 2018. The average interest rate beginning of 2018 was 3.95%. I thought it was incredible. I told everyone I knew they should buy a house or refinance their loan. Hey, all you that bought a home, refinance it now, okay? This is the time.
Yeah.
Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the Vase, projecting that in the third and fourth quarter and into 2021, interest rates will skyrocket, guys, to 3.1%.
3.1. Wow.
It's truly astonishing. Okay. So, and this is the best part. Freddie Mac Freddie Mac is a governmental entity, right? 30-year fixed interest rate. So this is January 2018 today. We just talked about it. And of course, they're projecting this year. So what about, right? The real estate market's on fire. If you're a seller, this is a time. We don't have enough sellers. We literally, just straight up, we have agents asking us daily, do you have a listing that I can send my buyer to?
Yeah,
so we've got
true.
Steve Dunham here, Washington County School District. What is your official title?
Director of Communications and Foundation. So I get to talk about all the issues that may come up, but I also get to help raise money for our teachers and our students, and that's a good side.
Yep, I love that. Okay, so we just talked about, Steve shared I'm going to go off our screen for a minute. He shared that we need to see all of our beautiful bald heads. Man, mine is exceptionally, it's glistening, guys. Listen.
Yeah, yours is exceptionally bald, that's for sure.
So, Steve, go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, it's that good studio lighting you have going in your office.
I got a lot of light. I actually have to put a big thing in my window or it gets too bright in here.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So Steve just shared we have 35,000 students in Washington County School District-ish, 34,000 last year. Okay. High school holds about 1,200 kids. Elementary, that's what I thought was about 600. My kids are at Dixie Middle and Dixie High.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Dixie High, Dixie Middle, Dixie State University, East Elementary guy when East Elementary existed.
Yep.
Which now is legacy-ish, more or less, right?
Yes, it's legacy.
Yeah. And then my kids were at Heritage. So everybody went back to school, and Steve's at the school district office in his own office. So heaven forbid someone watches this video and says, where's his mask? Okay, he's not in the school, right? How are the teachers taking this? Like, what is, I've talked to teachers about fears and things, but what would you call the consensus of teachers right now?
Boy, right now, I would honestly say it's a mix. They're generally, I think everybody's happy to be back in school. They're excited to do what they love doing, and that is help children learn. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. And I think that's why we have so many of our teachers that have come back, even though there's some anxiety over what's going to happen and the pressures they're facing, because they want to help kids learn. And so they're just kind of overcoming some of that anxiety they may have, or overcoming, concerns about their own personal health situation or their own family members that they may be putting at risk by doing this.
So I think to your point, I was at a group of people 2 weeks ago, and I was actually, there was a teacher sharing with us. She's a second grade teacher. I mean, we won't say where, so we don't have to incriminate her, not with you, but with the public. She had to kind of work through this. She was like morbidly afraid that a child would get sick and die on her watch.
Yeah.
That makes sense. She
yeah.
wasn't worried for herself. I thought, wow, that's pretty incredible thought and feeling,
Our teachers have such a compassion for the children they work with. I don't know if you've ever read a story called The Blueberry Story.
No.
It talks about how, I'm going to ruin it for you, so don't look it up now because I've just ruined it. But
let's go.
Essentially, we take every child that comes into our school system, and they come to us broken. abused, they come to us hurting, and we heal them, we help them learn, we help them move on with life, hopefully to be productive adults, you know, that can take over and build our communities into stronger communities. And so that's the challenge our teachers have accepted, is they want to help these kids. They want to help them grow and learn. And so they take a very personal approach to that. And when you see a child sick on your watch, yeah, I'm sure that does have a tremendous emotional impact on you.
Yeah, well, it would. And I love what you just shared, because yeah, you're not vetting the kids in the public school system. They're just coming to school.
Every
They're coming
single
in.
child.
Yeah, like you said, they've got trauma, they've got abuse. Some of them have, I had a great child. I had a great home, right? But a lot of these kids don't. We already know the statistics on how many are hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And so they come in, and what I was really touched by is what you just said. And this gal, I listened to her and thought, man, these people do care.
Oh, yes.
And there were actually two educators in this room, and they both said, your kids really think that we're out to get them. If you knew, they said, we are in this career, if you knew how most, not all, I'm sure, of these teachers actually feel about your children, you'd be shocked. They love your kids. We love your kids. We care about your kids.
It's the truth. If you knew how much money, how much extra time teachers spend out of their own pocket, out of their own time away from their families to help their classroom, to help their students, or to help a particular student learn a concept, that's the reward they're looking for. They don't do this to get rich. Educators do not get into this profession to become wealthy. They do it because they want to make a difference. They want to help kids. They're trying to make our society better. It is a very, very noble profession.
Yeah. If they wanted to make money, they'd get in real estate, right, Jesse?
Yep.
Jesse, who is your favorite teacher? Can you even remember?
Mrs. Bridges.
See, do you know why?
Second grade.
You want to know why it's such, you know, that is the ultimate question, because almost every human on the planet can remember it, even though they don't remember what they ate last night for dinner. What about you, Steve? Do you remember?
It would be Mrs. Nixon, first grade.
First grade. Mine is Mrs. Andrus, second grade. Dixie Andrus, that's been around
Wow.
forever. Yeah, she was my favorite. We've always been close. We were always close forever after that. So she was, of course, at one point she was my second grade teacher. Then she taught me at the sixth grade center, and then graduated from there. But most people will tell you first or second grade. This is an unscientific observation. I think it's because of your emotional state right then. That's my opinion. I don't know, right? You're just really moldable. You're not ticked off yet.
You know, I'll tell you though, I did have a high school teacher that connected with me. It was Mr. Duffin. And Mr. Duffin hit me at a point in life that it made such an impact on who I was. And I knew he cared about us. I knew he wanted to help us. And that was impactful. I used to go back for years and visit Mr. Duffin at my high school.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you a funny story. Mr. Duffin, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Highland High School up in Sugar House, Salt Lake.
Sugar House. I know Highland High. Jesse, where'd you go to school?
All over.
Before they kicked you out. Where'd you go?
Payson.
Payson.
Before they kicked me out.
No, there's truth here. You're like, it's actually funny. So Steve, he's not watching. I know he's not watching this, but oddly enough, the guy was not my teacher. He was my vice principal, and he and I have been very good friends ever since. Is Craig Hammer.
Yeah.
Craig made the biggest impact. You can play this for him later. He made the biggest impact on me. We were buddies. We were just buddies from the time I was like a sophomore and junior in high school, and love his family. So, you know, look, the teachers care. You've got 35,000 students back in school. What is the policy in a single sentence for their masks? What's the policy?
Masks are required on all school property, whether you're in the building or on the property. And so our goal is to keep schools open for as long as we can. And if it comes down to wearing a mask for that time and it keeps schools open, sorry, my pager is going off here. I'm trying to turn the volume down. If it's as simple as wearing a mask inside the buildings or at the football game so that the student athletes can keep playing, then we'll do that.
Yep. So my 13 and 15-year-old Dixie Middle, Dixie High, they've had no complaints to me.
Good.
And they're listen, I love my kids, but they're not like particularly extra nice kids. You know what I mean? Like they're just grumpy like all of them.
Yeah.
The reason I make that point is it'd be one thing if you're like, your kids are so sweet. No, they're regular kids. And still, they're like, Dad, I said, guys, how are the masks after the first week? Dad, why do you keep asking us? happens. You know,
It's
that
the
happens.
adults with all the problems.
Yeah,
That's
geez,
true.
Like, it's no big deal, Dad. It's just a mask, is what they said to me the other night. I said, all right, okay, I'll shut up. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I think after 6 months, the kids are so excited to get back and see their friends and see their classmates and have a normal learning experience again. You know, we had a few parents joke with us. They sit in and said, heck, force us to wear a hazmat suit. That's fine. Just take them back. You know, they didn't want them at home any longer.
Yep.
It's been a long 6 months.
Well,
Yeah.
I shared this on the, whatever it was it Jesse on the radio show? I said, teachers went from being the dirtiest dogs in March and April, or they went from being heroes in March and April when people were like, whoa, you guys, if you went back to school, you're like, we have to homeschool our kids now. This is so hard. How do you do it? So then everyone was like, we hate you. Take our kids back, right? Like, you know, so this is really fascinating. And look, the data's out. And I was just looking at another browser about this. The data's out that youth suicides are up from COVID. And it's very, very heartbreaking. And I know that I've seen the data on why kids need to be at school. They need to be engaged in their regular social life. And, you know, and I could go on and on about all the risks, how I think that way outweighs, right, the other risk. But I know the kids have to be there, right? They've got to be there. And Steve, when they came home to do homeschool, you know, and I know, these kids were like, had an hour of schoolwork. It wasn't even homeschool, right? It was more like, how would you describe it?
We were honestly trying to maintain the course because it was so new and such a surprise.
Right.
So all we were trying to do is maintain a level that had already been taught throughout the year, really. Yeah. There may have been a few courses where we were trying to introduce some new concepts and continue that, but it was definitely softened. And like you said, this pandemic has weighed on everybody emotionally. And you hit an emotional nerve with me because we saw that the increases here locally with attempts and unfortunately
some successful.
Yes.
Yeah. That's, man, that is horrible.
And see, we have resources where we can help these kids. And so that's what's so hard is it's like, if we can just get them back to where we can provide and help the whole student, not just the academic side, but also the emotional side, the social side. And in our counseling staff, our wellness rooms, we are equipped to help them. And yet we're all shut down. And so that was so hard to see because for a lot of students, that is their one break from the hard lives that they are living at home.
Yeah. Man, Jesse,
I think not only that is that in our own homes, we can't see the truth. How many times have we heard, well, not my kid, no way. When these kids go to school, they've got people there that are actually looking at the truth.
Yeah, objectively.
The reality of, because it's not that we mean to, it's we can't.
Well, and I got teen kids, so I'm vigilant about this, right? And Jesse, you know, I mean, Jesse's had a hard childhood, and he's very familiar with this, right?
Yeah.
That is really sad, Steve. And so it goes back to, why do we need them in school? Because look, there's this argument of like public school, it's just mediocre. Well, let's be real. Public school is designed for the 80%, right? It's not private school. So it's not that it's mediocre, but truthfully speaking, right, it's not a private school, okay? So I think what's hard is I see in the real estate world, I go to Zillow. So we're selling a new subdivision called Desert Flower in Washington City. It's right off of Telegraph. We've sold, bizarrely, 33 of 40 homes before the first home went in the ground for a consumer to live in. Yeah. Wow. 33 of 40 are reserved and under contract before anyone moved in the subdivision. Mm-hmm. Well, they bring up if you go to Zillow, what you're going to see, I was going to share this today with everybody, Steve, and I'll let you see this. I'm going to bring it up on my screen because this is something I wanted to kind of use for people who, I get this question. Okay, here we go. It's pulling up. I get this question. We'll share our screen. Okay. How are the schools, Steve? Right? Because people are used to coming from big cities where they like work to put their kids in some special school district. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like You want to be in the West Side School District. So watch this. Can you see this Zillow screen, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened is you'll see that I just put an 84780. You'll see that if you have a new, we use Zillow to market our new subdivisions. So I can come over here and I see Desert Flower tucked in here. And I bring up Desert Flower, and here it is. Ooh, Taylor updated the photos.
Nice.
There's 7 lots available. This is our plug for Desert Flower today. Incredible. That's our model home. I just heard Kayla walk down the hall to go and sit in that office right there. So what happens is when you scroll down, you're going to find some information on schools. Washington School, grades K to 5. Well, I click on the great schools rating, 3 of 10. Pineview Middle, 6 of 10. Pineview High School, 5 of 10. I take issue with this because I don't think, and I'm going to let you speak to it, I don't think this is a reflection of whether the kids are being loved and led the way they need to be led at school because of this stupid thing. Does this make sense? And this is just an anecdotal example. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I've never put much value in a rating out there.
Right.
You know, even the state has a system for grading the schools and what have you. And, you know, you have to have so many schools in this level. And we're like, no, we're going to focus on educating the whole child and doing what we do best, because that's when the parents realize, oh, I love my school. I love how they care for my child. I love how they do what they do. And so I just don't put a lot of stock into it myself, but.
Well, and correct. And so, because you can see the collision of real estate and school housing for us in this conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Because we get the call. Hey, Jesse, it's Jeremy Larkin. I'm out in St. George. I want to move to, Wisconsin where you live. Hey, how are the schools? I mean, it's such a typical question.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And so I always have to say, well, the schools are great. My kids are in them. But I think you might be asking a question through a different lens.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and I look at that and I immediately go, oh, Washington Elementary School, Mr. Mitchell is amazing. I can tell you about each of those principals and give you a personal anecdote of how they love their students. You know, you got Mr. Mitchell at Washington Elementary. You have Mr. Gustavson over at Pineview Middle, and you have Mr. Meese at Pineview High School. And Mr. Meese cares about his kids more than anything.
Who's Meese? What's his first name?
Mike Meese.
Mike Meese. Yep, I know who he is. Yeah.
And just over 2 years ago, a student tried to set off a bomb in the high school there. And Mr. Meese picked up that backpack and walked it out of the building to protect his students.
What else can you say?
Exactly.
What is this? So this is fun, and I appreciate, again, this is just the things that we deal with. So as we circle back and wrap this up, 35,000 kids. How many schools are there now in Washington County? Actual buildings.
We opened up, I believe, number 52 this fall with South Mesa Elementary out in the Fields, Little Valley area.
Yeah, brand new. My kids, by the way, I loved Heritage for my kids.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about taking my kids to Heritage was Dads and Donuts. I loved going to Dads and Donuts, Craig and I talked recently at his home. I was actually over at his house a couple of months ago, and we were talking about them buying land for schools, that kind of thing. This is my last question today. How does the school district go about funding schools? Where do they get that money from? So
generally, when we're building a school, we do not have enough money to build the schools. So we have to bond, and we just did that in 2018. We passed a bond that is allowing us to build the physical buildings. And then the growth that comes in, typically from the growth, we can pay for the operation of the building. That means the utilities, the salaries for the employees in those buildings, that's all funded from the new growth. So as we grow by 1,000 people a year, they come in, that's additional tax dollars, and that pays for the operation of the building. But we're growing so quickly, we just cannot afford to build a building without bonding. And so we're looking at ways we can plan that in the future.
Typical. So South Mesa?
South Mesa Elementary.
Yeah. What would that building have cost? That whole thing, start to finish?
Approximately $12 million.
Yeah, that's what I thought you told me. So, geez, guys, well, we can't even believe the school district decided to raise fees. Come on, first of all, they take your children away for 7 hours a day. Okay, you're welcome, free daycare. You know what I mean? But, you know, of course they have to raise fees. And the thing that drives me nuts is school board holds their meeting, and then everybody goes to Facebook and says, these damn people in the school board, these good old boy network, they just raised they raised your fees $11 this year? Get a grip. And you know what's great? I get to say this, and you don't have to say it because you have to say it, Dave. I can be opinionated for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But it's crazy, right? $12 million a school. They take your kids, they educate them, they love them, and you know, I'm going to give you it could be worse. Our kids could be at school in Portland or San Francisco where they are indoctrinating them into literal insanity.
Or they have to walk through a metal detector to go to school.
Man, good grief. Steve Dunham, thank you so much. Is there anything parting thought you want us to know?
Yes, you've talked about school construction, and people need to know that $12 million for an elementary school, the same building that houses the same number of children built up along the Wasatch Front would cost you an additional $4 to $5 million.
Correct.
And that's because we've become so efficient on the tilt-up construction that we utilize. It saves us about 25% on the cost of a building.
Listen, do you remember when you were on the radio show and I pointed out, guys, tilt-up construction?
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's one of those little nuggets that I learned a long time ago. Basically, Washington County said, look, we can just stamp out the schools from a pretty standard. That's why all the elementary schools look identical. It's lovely.
Yes.
It's lovely because it's like, oh, we already have the plan. We don't have to spend 7 years in engineering and architecture. Right. We just build it.
And hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in design and planning to do it. Yeah, you can move forward.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Steve Dunham, thank you for being on today. Washington County School District. Jesse Paul, thanks for being my wingman. We will save this recording. We will post it to YouTube, and I'm going to wrap this whole thing up. I'm going to go back, screen share. If you need to contact us, whoops, that didn't go the way I wanted. Let's share a different screen, okay? Isn't it great when you spend time preparing something and then it just looks like crap? Okay, there you go. There's our screen. It's because our Sunwood homes got pushed down. If you want to visit us, the Larkin Group, you can visit us at soldinstgeorge.com. Call us at that phone number. Sunwood Homes, the Desert Flower Project, mysunwoodhomes.com. Over and out, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeremy.
See you later. Yeah, bye-bye.